So let's turn on Allied colors, and blue should be Aegis, and red is Pepsi. So yeah, let's turn on the resources. As you can see, Pepsi spotted on this, I would say, disadvantageous position. We also don't see the bridges, so let me fix that. Because of course, you can shoot with catapults from here, which is really hard to actually defend against. That's maybe why both of them went for Empire, because they wanted to do this. You can of course also do it with Trolls or even Avengers, but catapults have the biggest range out of all these siege units, so that's definitely the best race to do it with. But you should also not forget that this map has an underground that you can really easily use to get to your opponent. Also there is an expansion option, actually the only expansion option on this map to get some extra gold. Then there are just these gem mines right here. So you can definitely get some extra resources here, but I don't think anyone will go for that since it's pretty risky. But you can also just use this underground to get to your opponent, and you will emerge basically right next to his base, which will be really hard to actually protect against. It's also a really small map, so if you make flying units, you can also get here pretty quickly, maybe even with an arc, not just Valkyries or something. So definitely many options. You will see what they decide to go for. We see really closed base here from Pepsi, basically the same thing from Aegis, and none of them really went for closing this, which would of course make sense since you can block against this underground and also from this bridge. But as I said, there can be some attacks with flying units, maybe even some shooting from here, for example with catapults, so this might be in danger. This is definitely probably safer way of playing this. We also see tower from Pepsi basically immediately, which I don't think is really necessary. The map is small, but it still takes quite a lot of time before you can get to the opponent's town, and I don't think any of them will be actually like rushing all in. So this was probably unnecessary to build it this quickly. Could have probably saved some resources for maybe more units or another farm or something, and then build the tower later, but it's definitely also fine. As you can see, it's also already making an 11th century, so probably wants to go for Valkyries. And then of course tower makes sense because you can protect against swordsman rush or just a small harassment push. Even without your own units, you just made one swordsman to scout, and now he's just playing defensively and wants to go for Valkyries really quickly. On the other hand, Aegis is doing basically the same, just not building the 11th century yet. Instead of that, he's just spamming a little bit more swordsman, even investing the resources into that, so that's of course also an option. He will of course has this one tower to protect against enemy air harassment, but outside of that he should definitely... actually yeah, he's also going for 11th century. If he didn't, he should definitely at least make a blacksmith to unlock Elven Rangers to protect against the Valkyries, but of course 11th century is always better. You can also go for Valkyries if you need, or you can at least make some Phoenixes, which are also good at least for scouting. But yeah, as you can see, Aegis already coming here with his swordsman, scouting this area. So he now knows about the strategy of Pepsi. He will try to mirror it, even though he will be definitely later with this, since he didn't make the 11th century together with the Stone Keep upgrade, which is what you want to do and what Pepsi did. Aegis unfortunately didn't do that. Now he needs to finish the 11th centuries first before he can start building the Valkyrie beacon, so that will definitely slow him down. And since Pepsi also scouted this now, he could potentially fly there with the Valkyries immediately. So now he can start producing them, and he can maybe destroy this before Pepsi can even finish this, but maybe he won't even go for Valkyries. He's just maybe making Phoenixes that will deal with the air, and then he will just go for Swordsman and maybe potentially add some catapults, since he has the better side. So we will see what they decide to do. I also don't really understand this positioning too much. He probably wanted to have it secret, but since it was already found by Pepsi, now it's just a really poor positioning because it's not protected by any towers or anything. So I don't think this was the best idea, but we'll see. Of course, he already has a Phoenix here scouting. Phoenixes are produced much quicker than Valkyries, so even though you already see some pressure from the Valkyries, the Phoenixes will be ready for that. And I still don't see a Valkyrie beacon from Aegis, so maybe he really doesn't even want to go for that. He's also going for the expansion probably now, or maybe just going to scout it if maybe Pepsi went for expansion. or he will just build a tower there to secure that position. We also see a temple from Pepsi going for some extra healing, and also the peasant is running into the underground, so they have the same idea. We see a tower, so no expansion yet. Of course, this is much safer to secure the position first and then go for maybe something else. And now we see a nice push from Pepsi coming from the back with his Valkyries, even though there is a tower, which will of course damage the Valkyries and force them away. They still did a nice push here, while the Phoenixes were on the other side of the map. Now Pepsi will find out about this. Maybe he will send his Valkyries to the underground to deal with that, or he will just try to kill the peasant with his peasant because he has more HP, and the tower will not be finished if he continues like this. So yeah, now we can just destroy this. Don't even need to destroy it. He can just build his own tower. I mean, I'm not sure if they actually want to take the expansion or if they just wanted to have a tower here to make sure the other player doesn't take it. But of course, if you have towers there and you have control of the surface as well, there is no reason to not take the expansion. But we see a nice push from Aegis with some swordsmen. They are definitely going to try to take this down. Valkyries are not coming there yet, they are injured, so they are being healed now. But actually, yeah, there is another section or another group of Valkyries flying here, so the swordsmen won't be too effective here. Of course, they can still destroy the tower, they have nice damage and they are pretty durable against Valkyries. Also, there are a ton of Phoenixes, so the Valkyries cannot be just freely shooting the swordsman here. Maybe they will kill one. Actually, they didn't even finish him on 2 HP. He just needs to kill the tower really soon before it gets upgraded, which shouldn't be a problem. Then just finish the peasant, and he got a control of the underground. And to be honest, the Phoenixes will always win this. So I don't see a problem playing with no Valkyries in this situation. And now he's all finally going for the catapult, also securing the underground as I said. So Pepsi is really just forced back a lot here right now. Can't really do anything, has just one base, no map control, no scouts. His air is basically useless against these Phoenixes, and he doesn't even have any ground army. Now trying to make something, but Aegis has pretty strong ground army, so we should be able to deal with that. This is of course one option for Pepsi now. He can try to push this base. There is one tower that is not even upgraded. The other one would die really quickly to those Valkyries. This is not even protected at all, so we can just destroy this and deny the production of any more Phoenixes. That will definitely help him protect the expansion. Sorry, not the expansion, protect his Valkyries a little bit more if there will be no more production of Phoenixes. But there is still 5 Phoenixes that are already produced with full mana, so they can easily force these Valkyries back and even kill some of them with Nova. We don't even see any new Valkyries being produced by Pepsi. He's just focusing on some ground army, of course Elf Rangers to kill the Phoenixes without any danger, because Phoenixes cannot attack ground units, so Elf Rangers are definitely the biggest counter he can create for them right now. He also made some of his own Phoenixes, which is also good. And then he also tried to make some swordsmen, but as you can see, this base will definitely be finished, and I think he can easily protect this. He should of course upgrade his tower, but outside of that he has 7 swordsmen here, even though one has only 2 HP. Now he's actually going with the Phoenixes into attack. He will probably want to one-shot this. And Pepsi also has the Phoenixes there, but he didn't really use them too well. So this was probably worth it for Aegis, even though he doesn't have a temple yet, so it will take some time before he can heal them. But he can also just wait for mana and then fully heal all the Phoenixes with Nova, so that's also fine. Now finally we see the first catapult, which of course cannot just freely shoot here if the Valkyries will be focusing it. But if Aegis can protect the catapult with some Phoenixes against the Valkyries, he should be definitely able to do something about it.
Building complete, my lord.
Aegis didn't repair this Elven Sanctuary, but he's not even producing anything there. Doesn't really want to deal with that. We see a nice push from Pepsi. Of course, Aegis is not with his Phoenixes here yet, but they are already flying there. Still only 5. But he doesn't really have gems to spend more on that. He wants to also create some priests and catapults. But he should be able to destroy this. Of course, there are the Elf Rangers that are pretty dangerous. He cannot attack them, so he needs to escape. but that doesn't really block him from using the Nova ability. This is really interesting, as you can see the smoke from the town hall is going up and then in this direction really quickly, which is really weird. It's some bug in the underground, I think, because if you... Okay, there are no more town halls now, but yeah, this seems really bugged. But it's interesting, actually going pretty far away. So, Pepsi is... I mean, he has a really small army, he cannot push this at all. The towers will kill the phoenixes and the rest of the army will just lose to the swordsman. Even though Pepsi is sending more and more units, Aegis is already getting some resources from this expansion, so now he has definitely a resource advantage, which will help him a lot. But we finally see 2 catapults ready to start sieging. Of course, first he needs to deal with the... Valkyries. Actually, he's trying to destroy the bridge, which he will probably not be able to do before these units can get through it. But maybe he will at least shoot them a little bit, dealing some damage to them. Pepsi actually retreating, which I'm not sure if this was the best move. He definitely has stronger ground army right now, but yeah, there is also no mark, so he could just pick up the catapults and bring them away. Aegis is definitely well prepared here. And also to get to the catapults you need to run around this whole edge. So that would take some time, even though they are pretty slow, and it would definitely take a ton of time to escape from here. But we'll see. You also see a farm. Okay, getting some extra population, even though Aegis still has way more population. With those extra resources, it's pretty easy for him. We see castle, actually on both sides. A nice push from Pepsi, definitely he can win this now, I mean in this small fight. But he needs to definitely utilize his priests a little bit better, probably not fight too close to the tower. As you can see, the bug is not only the smoke, it also bugs the fire on the tower, so it means the wind direction and speed is probably set up not too correctly in the editor, unless this was the intention, which looks pretty weird, so I think that is a small mistake. Of course, I don't play this map too often, so I didn't really see it, but here you can see how the smoke should look like, yeah. You can see it on the farms, for example. Nice drop of catapults from Aegis. He has a ton of resources, so he can just rebuild anything he loses, but here he can just keep pushing with the catapults, basically for free. Pepsi doesn't even have any more Valkyries, just one. So he cannot even protect this way. He's of course making some new ones, but Aegis can just come with his phoenixes as well. Now he's trying to finish the bridge again. He's probably pretty confident that he can protect this just with the swordsman here and some phoenixes, which I'm not too sure about since there are the priests. But he also has the tower, which he should definitely repair at least, and maybe build a second one. But seems like right now he's rather focusing on the surface, now finally bringing some extra resources to the underground as well. There is basically no threat for Aegis on the surface, no units. We see mages actually from Pepsi, which is interesting, going for Decree, which can definitely help him, but I don't think he will be able to get to that, and of course he doesn't have any gems for mages with just one base, so he will maybe make 2 mages and that will be all. Right now he's just getting pushed back, even though he at least destroyed the tower, so at least something. We see 30 more population from Aegis and also 3 times the resources, almost. Now even more than 3 times saved up. Of course gold, yeah. Only double gems, but he's trying to spend the gems at least. But he could definitely make 5 more farms and spam like 20 swordsmen to support his army. He's probably just too lazy to do that, or maybe he could at least build some towers, maybe get a few more peasants for wood, get some upgrades in blacksmith, ton of things that you can do when you don't have gems. This is just not too effective, but as you can see it's still enough for him since he has so much more resources. He lost some peasants here because he was not too focusing on the Valkyries too much, but as you can see this is probably GG, and I think Pepsi will call it GG pretty soon. Maybe he will escape one more time. He'll probably try to win with the mages. That will be probably his last attempt. I think he already had one mage, but maybe he did somewhere, yeah, here behind the base, so it's not seen, even though these obsidian towers could be definitely scouted pretty easily by Aegis. But he's not really doing anything with the catapults right now. Kinda just standing here, building another barracks and farm, just creating stronger infrastructure. Nothing too crazy, not really transferring to anything more advanced.
Ready for work, my lord.
We see more and more units in the underground from Aegis.
Under attack. Building complete,
Actually, he lost the gnome arc, so now he will also lose his catapults. Also, we see a huge push from Pepsi. Aegis not really scouting that, so maybe he will actually lose his main base, or at least some of his units will get killed there.
my lord.
If he doesn't retreat immediately, but now he scouted it with phoenixes, so I think he will definitely come here. Or he will try to push himself, that's also an option. Yeah, he lost one phoenix to the Elven Rangers, but outside of that he's pretty fine. Pepsi finally bringing his mages, but he will actually maybe lose the mage here. This is really unlucky, yeah, he was trying to bring it there and now he got attacked there, of course with Trailblazing. The swordsman won't have a problem to get to the mage.
Search complete.
As you can see, mage is also pretty quick, so he will eventually save him. Probably, actually he has mana for decree, he should definitely cast it here, but he probably is focusing on this part of the map. Not the best multitasking here. We'll see if he will retreat, probably. Not a point in that too much anymore, because he will lose his income anyways. Yeah, I mean he didn't really utilize the mages, even though it looked like it was his main strategy. Now he could also make one more. Started producing it in the obsidian tower, which is not the smartest move since it's being destroyed now. He should have started making it in a barracks somewhere further away from there. But yeah, I think Aegis will finish this. Probably not with these swordsmen. Nice decree, but the phoenixes survived that. Yeah, we actually see a Pepsi pushing here as well. Even though there is one tower, I think he will push that, so... Maybe Pepsi still has a chance, but as you can see, Aegis still has almost 3000 gold. He just needs to keep spamming more swordsmen. That's the biggest mistake he's making, I think, during the whole game. He's just not using his gold. Which we see pretty often, actually. But yeah, now Pepsi is establishing his mage army, so we'll see how Aegis will react to that. If just with pure swordsman spam, or if he will try something else. But we have to keep in mind that this expansion is giving him only gold, so both players have the same amount of gems, and the only advantage Aegis can get is just creating more swordsmen, which are the only empire unit that cost only gold, if you don't count peasants, of course. And he can also, of course, get some extra upgrades that don't cost gems or maybe some towers. But outside of that, the gems should be the same on both sides, since no one went for this this gems mine expansion on either of the sides. This bridge is still more than half HP, so I don't think this is getting destroyed anytime soon. We actually see Circle of Ancients from Aegis, so maybe he wants to make some knights, which is a really good answer to mages, definitely. I like that, but we also see push from Aegis once again with catapults. At the same time, Pepsi is going to the underground with all of his units. He can definitely push this, just few swordsmen with no tower. Even though we see more and more swordsmen and also some priests. There is actually a ton of gems in this. I'm pretty confident that Pepsi can push this really easily, especially with the decrease. Ideally, if he can actually kill the priests with his decrease, that would be ideal. But he probably doesn't have disciples, which is the upgrade for cheaper spells in your castle that cost 250 gems, so I don't think he has that. That means his decrees are quite expensive. The catapults got killed on the surface. Now Pepsi is pushing really hard here. He will definitely kill this. Probably also kill the expansion, so we'll see if Aegis can recover from that. He still has more population, but of course the army of Pepsi is now much stronger, since he has many leveled up units, he has mages, and overall this is pretty strong. But we see more and more swordsmen coming. I think he has mana for decree here, so that will be no problem for Pepsi. He just needs to make sure he's not sending his priest into the front line. His priest has 0 mana, so that he won't be able to heal too effectively here. But at least the second priest still has 70 mana. Aegis going with his catapult harassment again. Probably gonna drop here. He always dropped here and then got destroyed, but if he drops here he can easily shoot the temple, I think. But he's going for the same mistake again, I would say. Not even protecting the gnome arc with his phoenix. So he's just waiting resources at this point. At least a nice effective push here with the swordsman. At the same time we see Pepsi pushing through the underground. But decent army is already prepared from Aegis here. But as you can see, he basically spent all of his resources. He had a huge resource advantage and now he's just losing everything. He saved up. Still has 1000 gold, which is a lot, but he's not really utilizing it. We see him coming back. This was a huge mistake from Pepsi. He just splits his army into 3 different positions of the map, sacrificing some priest and swordsman here. Also losing ton of units in his main base. And then there is this, and mages are probably somewhere else on the map, actually going through the underground, so 4 different positions. Also basically lost all of his peasants, so Pepsi doesn't have any income anymore. At the same time, actually, Aegis already harvested all resources, or at least gold, in his main base. So he's trying to rebuild the expansion now. Pepsi defended this, he has gold for peasants, but before he can start getting resources again, and there is still only a few hundred gold left. Before he can do that, Aegis will have his expansion rebuilt. I don't know why he's not power building this with teamwork, or at least starting with one of these peasants. He's just waiting for another one. But okay. Yeah, I mean Aegis has basically only swordsman, which can still die pretty easily to the decrease if Pepsi can do really good micromanagement here. But outside of that, Aegis should be able to push this. He has double the amount of population. And he should be able to get his income pretty quickly. A nice decree, of course, didn't kill them, but Aegis has only 3 priests and they are far away from these swordsmen, so probably good value. Mana is of course pretty valuable, but you get it for free, you just need to wait. Mana is time is the only price to get mana back. Yeah, I mean Aegis doesn't have to play too aggressively since he's gonna get this expansion. But he still wants to maintain some map control. This is the only entrance that he needs to worry about, especially if he also has control of these bridges. Yeah, so that's the only point he needs to take care of to make his expansion safe. So that's what he's going to do probably, actually standing next to the entrance, that's fine. Aegis not really making a third mage yet. I mean Pepsi. He just doesn't have the gems for that. Yeah, the phoenixes are pretty useless here, but at least they are able to scout. I don't know why he's not using his mages again. The micromanagement is not best here from either of the players, but they have ton of swordsmen, so that's usually enough to actually let you make some mistakes and still get away with that. So we also see the protective shell, also with bless from priest. So really buffed army together with the auras and ton of upgrades. The army of Pepsi should be much stronger, also with some decrease. But as you can see, actually Aegis has resurrection, so one of the priests that got one-shotted by the decree will get resurrected. I don't know why Pepsi is retreating now. I think he should have keep pushing, especially when he doesn't really have anything to take care of behind his army. And especially when Aegis has more priests, he will just keep healing much more effectively. I mean, there is a temple, but that's pretty slow healing. And I think Aegis will catch up pretty quickly since he now has full income. So I'm pretty sure Pepsi should have keep pushing here. Now he'll also allow some towers to be built by Aegis. and he just doesn't have any more income, so if he's waiting, he's just losing value at this point. Even though he's getting some healing, the resources from Aegis will be just more valuable. He should be using these catapults. I don't know, maybe this bridge is... no, still 320 HP. I was thinking that maybe he brought it to 10 and now he's just waiting with the catapults to destroy it when it's important, but he's not even doing that, just staying here AFK. He could be also making some of these knights, since he already made the Circle of the Ancients and he has some gems saved up. But he probably doesn't want to spend any resources on that, even though there are no pikemen in the enemy army. But yeah, Pepsi is fully healed. A ton of scattered swordsmen here around this entrance. But at least Aegis will know what's happening. Maybe he wants to rush with these swordsmen on the enemy backline and kill the mages or the priests. But yeah, the towers are not finished yet. Maybe one will be finished. He even took his peasants. So actually he has a mage here. He should have brought that here as well. I don't know what he's doing here now. Just kinda... yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to focus on two things at once, so now he's trying to focus on this. Probably lost that mage. I don't see him anywhere, so probably got one-shotted by the catapults. Now he allowed Aegis to actually get some extra time to finish these towers, even though there is still just one tower finished, so it doesn't matter that much. Those are just the peasants. So I mean, Pepsi won this fight, but I don't think he will be able to push any further. These catapults will just destroy his town eventually. There are no towers in this expansion, so it's not protected too well. I mean, Aegis doesn't really have anything now, even though he has an income, he's not really using it for anything. The fact that he just splits up his catapults with the rest of the army, from the rest of the army, it's not really helping him too much, I would say. He even escaped from this expansion, which I also don't really understand. Because the peasants can't do anything anywhere on the map, so just keeping them here for as long as you can to get some extra resources would be smart. Also, it would be smart from Pepsi to push this as soon as possible, because he doesn't know that the peasants are already away. But he also doesn't know if there are maybe some towers, so it will be also dangerous for him to go there. And even though Aegis still has a little bit more population, I just don't think he has a stronger army. He has a ton of peasants that are not really doing anything. And outside of that he has only the catapults. Oh, actually this I didn't see. He did a nice push with swordsman here. Maybe he doesn't even want to fight this. He wants to destroy the buildings of Pepsi before he needs to do anything. He also has two towers that are well protected by the other buildings in his main town, so he can definitely hold there for a while. Now he's just going all in. But we also saw a small building here, probably one farm from Pepsi. Even though he probably... or it was probably a tower, he doesn't have resources for farm. He probably cancelled that, maybe he will move it somewhere else, we'll see. But yeah, it seems like Aegis doesn't have any more catapults, only swordsmen, so it will take some time for him to destroy that. This was probably a waste. I think he should have kept the peasants in the back and tried to repair the towers with them, maybe even block the path around the towers. Now he's leaving them kinda unprotected, but I mean, two towers cannot destroy this, especially when there are priests. Phoenix is just kinda flying around the map, trying to scout a little bit. Yeah, so there is a tower, so it's all... I mean, this will definitely die sooner than the base of Aegis. But now it's all about Aegis finding this tower, because it's the last building he will need to destroy after he finishes this main base. And Pepsi doesn't have any more resources, or either of the players have any more resources. So I think it's just all about finding this tower, but to be honest, Aegis has quite a lot of time to actually do that. Because he still has a ton of buildings, also these two, tanky castle. And he has trailblazing of course on his swordsmen, so they are pretty fast, they should be able to find it really easily. This Phoenix should be moving around, of course. Yeah, we also see the arc scouting.
Our forces are under
But yeah, we
attack.
see actually revealing of Pepsi because it has been already 2 minutes since he lost his main base. I mean, his town hall. So I think Aegis now saw the tower. He wanted to retreat here probably and save his last buildings, but then he saw the reveal. And he also scouted this with the gnome arc, so he probably would have found this anyways. Yeah, but as you can see, it's last 2 buildings here as well. So this is like the closest match it could have been, but of course the scout tower will probably die sooner. Yeah, and as you can see, finally really close, just with 1 building, but Aegis was able to win this. This was more like a finals game in terms of how close it was, but definitely really interesting, and eventually Aegis won this. Almost 40 minutes. I didn't expect this to be this long in the first round, but yeah, definitely a really interesting game. I'm actually gonna save this. This was really nice. Even though, of course, I will have it on the stream, but maybe to analyze a little bit. So let's save this. Yeah, and let's check the results really quickly. So we have the units here. 66 kills from Aegis. Lost more than twice the amount of units he made, but he was also producing much more. Yeah, all of these swordsmen there. He had way more resources. And he eventually won, but it was way closer than it needed to be, I think. He was also overgathering wood a lot. But that's not that big of a problem. 7 upgrades on each side. Yeah, way more experience from Pepsi. Yeah, we saw his army in the end game. He had auras on all units. Really leveled up there. Also with all the researches they had. The army was not too big of Pepsi, but it was really powerful also with the mages there. Even though he had only like 1 priest. But yeah, a really nice game.